Good afternoon everyone and welcome to our live and exclusive coverage of the NBL Elimination Series playoff, the deciding game this afternoon to work out who goes further on in the NBL final series. And also welcome to viewers not only through TVW Channel 7 but also throughout WA, through the Golden West Network and of course over in Adelaide through SAS Channel 7. Today's winner of course will go on to meet North Melbourne next Saturday night in the first of 3 semi-final playoffs. And this is how the Elimination Series works. Of course the 36ers and the Wildcats playing together in the best of 3. The winner meets North Melbourne next Saturday night, as I said. And the other half of the Elimination Series, the Melbourne Tigers are playing the Sydney Kings, and the winner of that meets the Canberra Cannons in the other semi-final series. And of course the 2 out of those go on to contest the grand final series in the NBL. Okay, it's been a hard road for the Wildcats but also for the 36ers. Let's have a look at this story by Andrew Kay on having a look at the 36ers, their series of games. It went like this: Adelaide 124 defeated Perth 122, a 2-pointer at the Apollo Stadium. On Friday night it was Perth turning the tables 114 to 194, and of course we're down to the game today, the third and deciding game. As I was saying, the 36ers have had to regroup and come back and play 2 over here in Perth. Let's look at their preparation from Andrew Kay.
To say the Sixers were devastated after Friday night's result would be an understatement of mammoth proportion. Gary Fox had little alternative but to call a training session yesterday afternoon, a last-ditch attempt to lift his side for today's decider. But if Fox looked tired and drained, his players were worse. Almost all were carrying injuries and 2 were to visit doctors immediately after the session. Fox knows if they recover, his big men can match it with Perth, but his guards must lift at least 100%.
Well, the fellas didn't shoot real well, yeah. They had some shots, and I think we were about 8 for 32 from the back court, and we need to improve on that area. There's no doubt about that. And, you know, our passing and receiving have got to improve. You can't come down the court and continue to turn the ball over and expect to be able to win the game.
The 36ers started Friday's game in excellent fashion, but Fox says the turning point was obvious and came very early.
Well, the players were pumped up and ready to play at the beginning of the game, and then that 30-second clock broke, and there was about a 5-minute delay, and Perth seemed to come out of it. It enabled them to steady, relax a little bit, and they came back a little bit better than we did.
Immediately after Friday's game, the coach locked his players away. It wouldn't take a genius to work out what he was telling them.
Talked about a lot of different things, some good, some bad, some loud, some quiet. We just wanted to regroup and keep our heads high and make sure that the players know that they can dwell on this for a half hour or so, and then they better get their heads up and get ready to play.
Adelaide will start rank underdog today. If Perth plays like it did on Friday night, it will march into the semi-finals ready to go the whole way. But if the Sixers recover and regroup in time, they are still capable of what would be a huge upset win.
Well, I'm still confident, but you can bet I'm intense because there's no tomorrow. This is do or die now. We've got down to an elimination final game.
Well, Gary Fox is confident, and I'm sure the Wildcats are confident too of getting this third one, the deciding game. Stay with us, more after this break. Welcome back everyone to our coverage of this third and deciding game in the NBL Elimination Series Finals Playoff. Well, to get some thoughts, some last-minute thoughts on the decider today, let's go down now to the Superdrome. Wally Foreman talking to 36ers coach Gary Fox.
Gary, one of the difficulties for the team on the road is the boredom of living out of a motel room. How have the guys occupied their time since Friday night?
Well, we're staying at the Parmelia Hilton, and they always treat us very well, and that's one good factor. You sort of feel at home there. We had a practice session on Saturday, and then we had a team meal last night where all the players went out and had a meal together. Don and I had a meal in at a different restaurant because we were talking some tactics, and we went out to watch a game out at the State Bakeling final. And we got together, yesterday afternoon and talked about some things. And this morning we all met and had breakfast together. So it's sort of you try and stay together, and we got a pretty good social and gregarious group, and that sort of overcomes some of those things.
Well, I'm not going to ask you what you talked about because I know you won't tell me. But you got a good start on Friday night,
yes, we did.
And that would obviously be an important part of your plan today.
Yes, sir. We want to get off and do very well and see if we can keep the crowd quiet again. But this time we want to see if we can maintain it for 48 minutes. Now, this is just going to be one great contest. You got two terrific teams. And the result can go either way. We just want to get out there and give it our best shot, and if we do, I think we'll win the game.
In both of the playoff games so far, Gary, you've had early foul problems, particularly with your big fellas. It's important you stay out of that strife today?
Yes, we want to keep the guys out of foul trouble as much as possible, but we still want to maintain their aggression. It's a fine line of what you do, but we need the big guys out on the floor, Bradkey, Phillips, Davis. Nelson's been giving us great value. And they've just got to continue to play hard and go after the Wildcats front line.
We didn't see a lot of Al Green and Mike Mackay after half-time on Friday night. What was the reason for that?
Well, we were trying to find the players who were playing the best on the night, and unfortunately Al and Mike didn't have a very good game on Friday night, and we were going with people we thought could win the game for us.
Have you got any injury problems?
Daryl Pierce has got a slightly fractured skull when he is connected with an elbow, and there's a few sore spots and things like that. I'm sure the Wildcats have got the same. And you don't worry about those. This is not more than do or die now. This is survival.
But Daryl Pierce will play?
Yes, he'll play.
Okay, all the best. Hope you get your share of luck.
Thank you very much.
36ers coach Gary Fox talking down there at the Superdrome to Wally Foreman, and Gary Fox has gone through a fairly torrid time the last couple of weeks, so he'll be looking to get a victory today too for his own sake and of course the team's. Okay, we mentioned before the other elimination final series was between the 4th and 5th teams in the NBL, the Sydney Kings and the Melbourne Tigers. Let's quickly look at some highlights of the 3 games that those 2 teams have played.
Morrissey, a couple of injury clouds out there for the Kings as Morrissey drives to the basket.
Ridlin really doing a job of keeping David Simmons off the boards. That'll be his primary task, even more so than at the offensive end.
Obviously got a piece of Mark Ridlin's hand.
Well, if the hand's on the ball and you touch the hand, that's okay. He must have got a bit more than that.
And once again, it's a 2-on-1 situation. Colbert with the slam. Driving himself towards the basket and through a lot of traffic, scores 2 points. That shot was wide from Carfino. Svaldenis got hold of it. Svaldenis, great pass to Morrissey.
And we got
Once again, Morrissey charging on David Colbert. 4:26 to go. Andrew Gaze firing up for 3, can't score. Tim Morrissey is flat on his face on the court floor, and David Colbert has been ordered off for that intentional foul.
He's not going out with 5 fouls. He's been sent straight to the bench. See it down there.
A while on 4 fouls, so is Keogh, the player guarding him. So those 2 won't be going at it too hard at each other. But anyway, Gordon gets the points and now has 16. Valuable contribution again from the Melbourne point guard. Keogh, a bomb, missed. Rebound by Dalton was good. This is Gaze, 1-on-3. And he makes it.
Looking ahead to
Sunday,
game on 12 noon Sunday at the Glass House, game 3.
Yes, rest who you can now. With under 4 minutes to go and the margin is 18. Andrew Gaze is still running though, and he has 29. Back out to Davies, goes for 2 and misses. Melbourne the rebound, and the sting has really gone out of Sydney.
Both teams have a walk pace now.
Yep.
And for Melbourne, they're happy at that pace because it takes a lot of seconds off the clock. There's only 3 minutes and 15 seconds left in the game. They've got a 20-point lead. It would be very miraculous if Sydney could get back now. Morrissey driving, that'll be a blocking foul. Very, very close thing that time.
Both teams still trying to get some tempo organised. Simmons off backboard was good.
hasn't picked up. That's a blocking foul called on Brad Dalton. The score counts. Try and go for that purchase. Gay's backdoor pass doesn't go. Carfino streaming down. Dishes to Morrissey. That is a fabulous dunk. Keogh, that's Morrissey again. Can't find the ball. Dalton gets it. Dishes it to Carfino. Foot on the line. No, they give it a three-pointer. We'll see how Melbourne attacks this zone defense. They switch back into a...
Yeah.
They're boxing up, actually, is what they're doing. They're playing man-to-man on Andrew Gaze. They're playing his zone underneath, but Gaze is too good that time.
Got to score each time they come down to pick this lead away as Gordon takes the three-pointer and missed, and Sydney rebound. Nice move by Keogh. Can he go all the way? Morrissey got the bounce pass and the basket and a nice assist. And back at the Glass House with a minute 19 to go. Ray Gordon on the line shooting two shots.
Well, he hasn't had a very good offensive game, Ray Gordon, in comparison to his first two games against Sydney. These foul shots are important. He's hit the first one, 3 points the difference. Gordon down with 6 points in the game.
He's 100% for the line in the playoffs.
Still
is. The margin is 2. 80 to 78. Clock now at a minute 15.
Both teams in the penalty foul situation. Of course, the option will come into play. Ridley all alone. He's fouled. Oh, if that had gone. That would have been big. Fouled by Stephen Whitehead. Good substitution by Coach Bob Turner from Sydney to bring Ridlin in at this stage. Very, very difficult to guard all game long. He's just made that, and that, if he made that shot, that really would have given them a big edge. He's got 2 shots here. And been a bit iffy from the foul line in this game, but he finds that one.
He's 76% from the line in the playoffs as his coach looks on anxiously. Mark Ridlin, a big game. He has 28 points and Sydney lead by 4 with 69 seconds to go.
Now, who are your targets out there?
Gaze is fouled off, remember. It's got to be inside to Simmons. He spins. Yes! Dave Simmons with a big basket with 54 seconds to go. But still Sydney by 2. Regular programs, of course, to follow the conclusion of this live, exciting telecast.
Ridlin working on Simmons, looking for the spin move. It's not there, eating up the clock. Now, 10-second warning buzzer coming up. There it is. Sydney outside handoffs. Carfino open from the baseline. That could be it.
28 seconds to go. Sydney by 4 and a steal by Keogh.
That will be it. They can run this clock out. Keogh takes it, misses it. Why did he take that shot?
Still a chance. 16 seconds. Needs 2 two-pointers. Bailey goes for Sydney. Yes, they've got to steal the ball. Sydney by 1.
10 seconds to go.
Melbourne must steal the ball.
8 seconds to go. There it is. There you can't catch up to the ball.
They throw it away. Oh, a foul on Simmons and he's out.
23. It's
on Bailey. It's on Bailey.
Fortunate for Sydney. There's the pass. That's ball game.
Yes, it is. And a foul by Whitehead.
33.
With 0.5 of a second left.
Revilliard has 2 shots. Whatever he wants to do. He'll want to miss his second one for sure. He's missed his first one. He won't want to hit this one. Because otherwise, Melbourne will get the ball out of bounds without the clock starting, be able to throw that long pass. He's made it.
Someone's going to take the shot.
He's traveled, and that's it.
Yes, Sydney have won the elimination final series by 2 points against the Melbourne Tigers and will now play Canberra in the semi-finals next weekend.
Yes, he said it all. Indeed, the Sydney Kings got through. They're the 3 results. Sydney defeated Melbourne in the first game up in Sydney, 117 to 105. Melbourne got back at them at the Glass House, 112 to 89. And the third and decider played today in Melbourne. Sydney got home by, as you saw, just 2 points. So Sydney to play the Canberra Cannons in the first of the semi-finals. Stay with us, more basketball after this break.
The Wildcats left on Tuesday bound for Adelaide on a hit-and-run mission. Their aim to come back 1-0 up in the best-of-3 series. Their transport, appropriately, an Army Hercules.
Working it out now whether still have the Alan Black story.
The Alan Black interview or the Alan Black?
The interview.
Well, especially if Black's interviewed at great length, like the Gary Fox was interviewed at great length, and we came out with a Gary Fox interview. But I didn't hear either of them, but I don't know whether he doubled up on what he said.
Sticking with Alan Black? Yeah.
Okay, out of Rick Withers down to Alan Black and Wally Foreman. And highlights of the first 2 games.
Ready?
Not far away now from a tip-off in the third and deciding game of this elimination finals, the 36ers and the Wildcats. Well, for the Wildcats, it's been a torrid and tragic season and a fairly adventurous run through the elimination series, as Rick Withers reports.
The Wildcats left on Tuesday bound for Adelaide on a hit-and-run mission. Their aim to come back 1-0 up in the best-of-3 series. Their transport, appropriately, an Army Hercules.
At this time of the year, no excuses. This comes down to meeting our commitment at 89, and it's fitting that we're going over on a Hercules because it's like going to war too.
No, we've got to go for it. This time of the season, you don't rest anyone, and I've talked to James about that and Tiny, and we want them to just go for it, not hold anything back.
But the mission was far from successful. In front for most of the night, the Cats faltered, and a crucial mistake from Eric Watterson gave the 36ers a chance to grab a heart-stopping 2-point win. A bedraggled set of Wildcats limped back over the Nullarbor, still in shock the next day. They now face the prospect of having to win 2 matches in a row.
It's not all over, and as I said before, it's not over to the fat ladies sing, and we don't have any fat ladies here in Perth.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. We had that game won, and in the last 2 seconds they come up with a shot like that to win it. It was pretty upsetting.
So then it came to Friday night, and the Wildcats had to find a way to produce the rebounding strength they'd lacked on Wednesday, and they found it in the form of veteran Tiny Pinder. The big number 5 came out firing and produced some amazing shots.
Pinder from outside 3-point line. Oh, what a bomb!
That's what I get off on boards, rebounding, and I know that I had to come out there and get back to basic as far as rebounding.
So with the series 1-1, a relieved Cats coach Alan Black was happy that his players had found their form.
We got thumped on the boards last game, and they had a lot to prove, and they came out and proved it. It was an excellent performance.
And there's no doubt it will be the form of Pinder and Crawford that will be the key.
Yes, indeed, and we heard a little while ago the thoughts of 36ers coach Gary Fox prior to the game. Let's go back down to the Superdrome now. Talking with Wildcats coach Alan Black is Wally Foreman.
Alan, can we talk about injury problems first, if in fact there are any? How did James Crawford pull up after Friday night?
James put up very well. Every game he plays, he's getting fitter, and we expect a big game from James today.
I believe there is a problem with Craig Evans, however.
Yes, Craig was in a car accident after the State Basketball League semi-final last night. He's got some whiplash and he's a bit shook up.
Okay, and who will replace him?
Brett Ellis is going to come in the lineup to replace Craig.
Well, I guess after 2 games in the playoffs, successive games in 4 days, it's difficult to come up with new tactics and what have you. Things should be reasonably predictable.
I think they will be on both sides. I think that Adelaide basically want to go inside and we basically want to run, and I guess the same tactics will be right for today.
Well, the Wildcats started rather slowly on Friday night, perhaps slower than you would have liked. You're looking to correct that?
Yes, we didn't come out of the blocks at all well, and Adelaide came out firing. We expect to reverse that trend today.
You have a fairly long association with Gary Fox, going back to the Nunawading days. Is that an advantage or a disadvantage to either of them?
I don't think it's either. It just means that after the game we can have a few beers and reminisce about how good we were back in those days.
What's the match plan today, Al?
I think, as I said before, I think basically we want to run the ball and get it out. Trevor Torrance has got a bit of speed on some of the Adelaide players. I think that Mike and Cal can get the ball up the court. That's basically what we're going to try and do.
OK, all the very best. I hope you get through to that next round.
Thanks, Wally.
OK, a very reserved Wildcats coach Alan Black just minutes before today's game. OK, let's quickly go back on some highlights of the first two games, the Wildcats versus the 36ers.
Shot miss from James Crawford. The long passes to Davis. He's away. Watterson's going to cut him out. No. Eric Watterson has the ball. Good player, Watto.
In the last series, or in fact it was 2 years ago, Perth came across here to Adelaide and lost the first game. I'm sorry, Adelaide went to Perth, lost the first game. Here's Phillips, 2.
Shot missed by Ellis. Green is running. Yeah, I'm not sure the teams can keep this pace up. Green loses it to Crawford. Crawford 1-on-3. He'll slam this. Oh, great move, James Crawford. Well, they are back and back in a big way. Al Green's lifted. They've all lifted. Mackay again from outside. Misses. Davis is there. Who has to go up this one. He's fouled. Here comes the last shot. Adelaide will get the last shot in this game.
Well, Adelaide have to hold on to the ball now. They don't need to take a shot. There is 12 seconds remaining, 10 seconds remaining. Adelaide
I'm not sure that Al Green knows. There it goes. It's a three-pointer. It's missed. Oh, Adelaide finished it.
Trevor Torrance outside, tries to work his way inside, gets up with a jump shot and makes 2. A great start by the 36ers. Great pass too from Pearce, finds Orlando Phillips, and he finds the basket for 2 more.
This is Pinder now, trying to get around Bradkey. That makes it a 4-point margin.
Mackay goes all the way, but Torrance is right there behind him. Sends it forward for Crawford. Say goodnight.
It's taken away by Davis. And Green goes straight through Bruton. The charging foul is called on Al Green. This is Ally. Off to Bradkey.
You see James Crawford find the extra pace. Back from Ellis to Crawford, and look out, Green.
Evans goes to Ellis on the baseline, and Ellis takes it to the basket, and that is the final nail in the 36ers coffin.
Can Crawford finish with a slam dunk? Oh, what a finish!
So the 36ers did it in Adelaide, the Wildcats did it at the Superdome on Friday night. The decider is not far away. Stay with us, back shortly. Hello there. So a very quick throw. Are they? Okay.
Double check it. Yeah.
Can you get him to talk to him? Okay, very close to a tip-off at the Superdrome. Let's go live now down to the stadium and David Christensen.
Welcome indeed to the Perth Superdrome, and a special welcome to viewers through the Golden West Network throughout Western Australia and to our viewers through SAS 7 in South Australia. This is do or die for one of these two teams. Either Perth or Adelaide will go on to the semi-final playoff series against North Melbourne. Whereas for the losing team today, that's it. That's the end of season 1989. With me in commentary is Wally Foreman and John Gardner providing our expert comments. John Gardner, this should be one heck of a game.
Well, it's all or nothing right now, David, and without a doubt the two teams are tied up. If we look at the very narrow victory in Adelaide, which was certainly heart-stopping and a tremendous spectacle, and then somewhat of a letdown, I think, for the Adelaide side here on Friday night when the Wildcats came out with a good 20-point margin.
Well, it really is a matter of regrouping for Adelaide today, isn't it, after that? What, as a coach, does Gary Fox say to them? I mean, we've heard him talking to Wally Foreman before the game, but what would he be saying to them when they come back onto the bench before the game now?
Well, I think he has to appeal to their professionalism, and that can sometimes be a hackneyed word, but we look at the reports in the media about some of the internal troubles that are reported in Adelaide. He has to settle them down. They has to appeal to their pride right now because they are professional ball players. They want to be out there. They could not have sat happily with their result on Friday night, and right now he's looking to their pride to come out, and I think that's exactly what he'd be doing, telling them that at the end of the season.
Well, statistically, over the seasons where the NBL has kept records, and they've put them together on computer very well this year, they say the home court advantage is worth between 3 and 5 points.
Yes.
Now, 20 points on Friday night. Let's talk about the crowd here. I mean, it was absolutely amazing.
Sure, and I think that crowd is worth certainly more than 5, and whether you could say 20 or not, it's certainly worth a good 10 points. And whilst Adelaide came out on Friday night trying to keep the crowd out of the game, they weren't successful, and that was very, very evident in the third period where Pinder went out high on emotion, adrenaline pumping, the crowd behind him, and that really blew them away. There was a 10-point margin between the two sides in that third quarter. That's what the crowd here can do for them.
And in fact, that's what happened to the Wildcats in Adelaide on Wednesday night when they were outscored, what, 31 or 32 to 19 in that final quarter
when Mackay came out and hit everything that was about, when they always crashed the boards. And of course, the Wildcats can't be too happy with their board work again on Friday night. They were out-rebounded, something like 21-6 on the offensive boards. That still has to be a big worry for Alan Black.
Well, Mark Davis against Tiny Pinder on the boards. Mark has the reputation of being the chairman of the boards. Tiny did the job, especially in the second half on Friday.
He did.
What sort of role will they play, and how much will fatigue count?
Well, I think it will count for a lot, and I think the main player in that fatigue situation will be James Crawford. Crawford was brought into the match on Friday, and as we commented to all of our viewers, he looked very, very sick and fatigued out there. Alan Black will want a much bigger effort from Crawford on the boards to help Pinder, because I believe that Bradkey will get more court time tonight. I was a little mystified by his lack of court time. He hits the boards extremely well, and Crawford will be given the job of curtailing him. And of course, if you look to the Adelaide bench, Dwayne Nelson came off the bench and did a manful job out there, hit 50% of his shots and really crashed the boards. So the Wildcats have got the job to do today, and Adelaide have, without a doubt, the better rebounding side.
I can tell you it's been quite a weekend for Dwayne Nelson, wearing number 20 for the Adelaide side. He comes from South Carolina, and his mother has been battered by Hurricane Hugo. He got through this morning, I believe, and feels much relieved. Our referees for tonight, the two most experienced men in the National Basketball League. On left of screen, Eddie Crouch. On the right-hand side, Ray Hunt. Neutral referees, John Gardner, quite a plus.
Yes, and also very well experienced referees, and that's very, very important because I think all of the viewers can expect a very physical contest out there today.
And how do the referees control that? Do they jump in early?
I think they will, and if there's any shadow of niggling or things that will lead to an uproar, they'll jump on that very, very quickly.
Well, in fact, there was some very physical play on Friday night. And in fact, we had Gary Fox saying before the game that Daryl Pearce is suffering a slightly fractured skull. Now, whether that's quite right or not, I'm not sure. But how much can the referees allow that to go on?
Well, the referees in the NBL this year have very much allowed contact against somewhat the technical part of the rule, but I think they'll allow that today, and as long as nobody gains an advantage through that contact, they'll allow it to get a little bit willing out there.
OK, the scene is set, the teams are ready. Let's go to our courtside commentator, John Rogers, for the first starting five.
Here now are the starting fives for today's game. Firstly, the Adelaide 36ers, 00 Orlando Phillips. Number 4, Daryl Pearce. Number 7, Mark Bradkey. Number 15, Al Green. And finally, number 33, Mark Davis. Their coach is Gary Fox.
And on the bench for Adelaide this afternoon, Scott Ninnis, Peter Eli, Mike Mackay, Dwayne Nelson, the best number 6 in the country at the moment, and David Spear. Now to John Rogers again for the Wildcats.
And for the Wildcats, their starting five. First off, number 5, Tiny Pinder. Number 6, Mike Ellis. Number 7, James Crawford. Number 10, Trevor Torrance. And number 55, Cal Bruton. The Wildcats coach is Alan Black. Your referees from Victoria are Eddie Crouch and Ray Hunt.
There you see the Wildcats bench. Steve Davis, Eric Watterson, Robbie Dempster, Ned Coton, Brett Ellis suiting up tonight, and looking a little mournful there is Craig Evans, who unfortunately was involved in a car accident. It's been a heck of a year for the Wildcats. He's not too badly injured. He's suffering a whiplash, but they weren't going to risk him today. To take up the commentary for the start of this game, Wally Foreman.
Thanks, David. Well, both teams will be desperate to start this game as well as they possibly can. Eddie Crouch just having a final word with James Crawford. In fact, we have a problem with the backboard. It's the backboard at the western end of the court. That was the end at which the 36ers were warming up. The crowd up on its feet, as is the custom here at the Superdome. The crowd remains standing and clapping until the Wildcats open their scoring. Now everything is in readiness for the start of this crucial third game in the elimination semi-final playoff between the Adelaide 36ers and the Perth Wildcats. Neither of the centres getting a hand to the first tip-off. Pearce gives it to Bradkey, a cross-court pass, and so the 36ers surrender possession. Mike Ellis will inbound from the side. This is Torrance. Pearce comes up to meet Ellis. Attitudes are going to be absolutely crucial in this game, I would think. Torrance taking on Bradkey. Puts the ball in the bucket. The Wildcats are on the board. But I would suggest that if the Wildcats think they did enough on Friday night to get through to the next round of the playoffs, they've got problems. And I would suggest also that if Pearce, Mackay and Green don't come out with better attitudes than they showed Friday night, then the 36ers have got problems.
2 apiece. Ellis makes the drive baseline. Misses with the layup. Phillips brings it forward, working with Mark Davis, who crashes into Cal Bruton. They score and the charge.
Nice position there by Cal Bruton. Cal Bruton's been giving a less of a Let's look at it on replay and you see what we're talking about here as Davis picks the ball up, drives strong. Bruton comes across there, picks it up early. There's contact and there it goes, the offensive foul.
So no score, 2 apiece it remains. Bruton, strong physical work already. Pinder sets the screen. Torrance on the three-point line. Doesn't go. Crawford almost took it, but Al Green comes away with it. Davis. Shotgun pass, misses Phillips, but hits Pinder on the chest and barrels off across the baseline. Adelaide ball. Bradkey looking for Pearce making the cut. Can't get to him though, so he goes right instead. Green, well controlled. Davis is going to take it from outside once again. Makes good with the 3, 5 plays 2.
One of the great attributes of this Adelaide side is that a couple of their big fellows, in particular Davis and Bradkey, can both shoot from outside. It's called on Al Green.
We talked earlier, Wally, about what the referees would do in a final like this that's do or die. They're going to call all of the contact fouls early.
And Green and Bruton, who started in fairly fiery fashion on Friday night, are at it again. Bruton with a three-point attempt. Crawford taps it away from Orlando Phillips. So it'll be a 36ers ball from the side. Pearce inbounds. This is Green.
Good matchup here with Mike Ellis on Green. Mike Ellis did an excellent job on Friday night against Al Green.
Matchup is the other way at the other end of the court, where Green is taking Bruton. Bradkey tries for 2, doesn't go. Pinder gets up extremely high. Foul under the basket called by Eddie Crouch.
Back there, jump over the top. John 5 to push.
So, as I guess we've come to expect, the first foul of the night
Tiny Pinder
goes against Tiny Pinder. Phillips, strong in the paint. Oh, the long bomb counts for 3 once again, so 8 plays 2. Davis has found range early from outside. It's a danger sign for the Wildcats. Great news for Adelaide. Bruton runs all the way along the baseline, walks outside and does just the same.
Well, there's an interesting atmosphere prevailing here at the moment. It's nowhere near as hyped up as it was Friday night. Bradkey from outside. Crawford with a rebound. Bruton on the fast break. Pearce won't get to him. And that ties it up. No, it doesn't, I'm sorry. The 36ers lead by a solitary point. It's 8-7 as Phillips goes over the top. The points count as Alan Black calls for an offensive foul. But the crowd nowhere near as vocal as they were on Friday night, and perhaps the fact that this is an afternoon game has caught them all just a little bit asleep.
It really is a different atmosphere, and I think we've noticed that over the past few years, John Gardner, that Wednesday night games and Sunday games aren't quite the same as Friday and Saturday.
A little out of rhythm. Of course, the other factor is the way the Wildcats won on Friday night. Maybe the crowd's a little complacent.
Fouls on Orlando Phillips. Wildcats ball from the side.
0-0 for the hold, so for Orlando Phillips, foul number 1.
Here it is.
Ellis and Bruton at the top. Green making life tough. Not tough enough. Bruton has drawn the foul. Ray Hunt.
15.
And that's the second foul for Al Green inside the first 3 minutes of this incredibly important game.
Pick this up as Bruton goes around Green. Green caught napping there, rakes across the forearm.
Cal Bruton, NBL All-Star in 1983 and 84 with the Geelong Ball Club then. And a man who turns 35 years of age this coming Friday.
Right.
Can he make the second? His side is down by 2. It's now down by 1. 10 plays 9. Remember, of course, Adelaide led by as much as 10 points during the first quarter of the second game in this series. 21-11 at one stage in the first quarter on Friday night. Just off Pinder's hand. Gary Fox pensive. Referee Ray Hunt in picture.
Here it is.
Darryl Pearce. We heard Fox tell us before the game that Pearce is suffering a slightly fractured skull. In fact, we understand he's suffering concussion and was suffering double vision this morning. Here he is, the man they call the Iceman. Baseline, no range, tries again with a little pop-up shot, won't go. Bradkey tries, has the ball raked out of his hand. They're scrapping fiercely under the basket, and eventually Davis comes up with it.
That's a three-point break to the 36ers now, as Bruton shoots for 3. Davis, it's Mark Davis, pulls in the rebound. Steve Davis still on the bench for the Wildcats. Bradkey
Davis with plenty of room goes to Phillips. Made sure of it, although he would have been shooting for 3 himself. 14 plays 9, a 5-point break for the 36ers.
First time out of the game called by Wildcats coach Alan Black. 14 plays 9, 8:16 on the clock. Adelaide's getting inside a good deal easier. And welcome back to the Superdome in Perth. 14 plays 9, and John Gardner, Adelaide seeming to get inside a lot easier than the Wildcats at the moment.
They are, which was a replica of Friday's match, and those players tired later on. Adelaide didn't get a lot from the outside, but they're certainly pushing inside, just as Mike Ellis does for the Wildcats with a beautiful right-hand drive.
11 trails 14. Pearson Green. Orlando Phillips. Bradkey now outside. Foul called off the ball. Mike Ellis, I think.
6 wide. Block here.
Blocking foul against Al Green. So the referees asserting their authority early in the game, as John Gardner suggested. This is Green. Phillips. Bradkey. Davis is under the basket. Pearce goes for 3. That is a big shot.
Shooting well from outside, John.
While the reaction from Gary Fox and the Adelaide bench indicates just how hard they're working to get their outside game going, and Pearce never really got into the game on Friday night. That's a good start for Pearce.
7 minutes 25 to play in the first quarter. Crawford with the shot. The 36ers lead by 6, and now they can extend that to 8 at least. This is Green. Bradkey from inside the free throw line. The basket will stand, and there's a foul.
10.
It's called against Trevor Torrance, number 10. So a bonus shot here for Mark Bradkey.
Let's go, on the go.
Which will give the 36ers a very handy 9-point lead. One thing I think we can say about the 36ers is that if they get a good lead, they will be determined to hold it today, realising what's happened previously. 20 plays 11 at the 7-minute mark of the first quarter.
Deja vu from Friday night, as I said just a minute ago. Adelaide led 21-11 during the first quarter on Friday night. So the Wildcats needing to get inside. Pinder makes it onto the paint and shoots truly too. Boy, there's some heavy traffic on the paint at this end of the court, John Gardner.
There's a lot of contact out there, both ends of the court. If we can see some of this screening action on screen now as it comes through, as Orlando pushes Pinder out, makes room.
Nice turn. 2-point basket, Orlando Phillips, 22-13. 9 points still the split. Pinder. Going to be a blocking foul against Davis, his second.
33, 3, it's a block. 1-on-1.
Let's see it again.
Ellis across.
Not listening to
First step to Pinder was too quick for Davis. Davis wasn't prepared to let him go, so he made the contact with the body.
1-on-1.
So Pinder goes for the 1-and-1. Must make the first to get the second. Tiny Pinder, former Harlem Globetrotter, member of the Sydney Supersonics in 1985, when in fact he made the NBL All-Stars.
1.
It's his third point for the night. 22 plays 14. We're about halfway through this first quarter. Talk about being out of kilter on day games. His fourth point for the day, I should say. Bradkey
Davis on court for the Wildcats. Bradkey loses him. No range on that shot. Bruton, can he? No. Well, Ellis became the meat in the 36ers sandwich.
Wilbur,
the Wildcat, Wilbur, went straight over the back. Back to more serious things. Orlando Phillips. Oh, Bradkey did well to pull that in and converts.
9 points is the margin as the Wildcats run the ball into offense. Ellis trying to get it inside to Pinder. I think it came off Darryl Pearce's foot. And it will be a Wildcats ball from the side. Crawford is out of the game. Steve Davis is in for the Wildcats. As yet, the 36ers haven't made a substitution. Ellis. Davis putting it back up. Pinder at the third attempt scores the points for the Wildcats.
Crowd reaction becoming more of what we're used to now. Bradkey. Phillips from Davis. The basket will stand.
Oh dear.
Foul on Pinder.
This could be a tech. Eddie Kraut's very experienced. It was a soft foul.
Count. 5, it's a push. Go 1.
Good call by Krauts. Didn't let the emotion take over.
So for Pinder, that's the second foul. Let's have a look at it again quickly if we can.
You'll see how soft this foul is. A soft touch, very little contact.
The Wildcats are bringing more height into the game as Phillips takes his bonus shot. Crawford is back in alongside Pinder. It's Bruton who gathers the ball off the ring. Well, I'm not sure how he saw a line through there, but he found one. Makes 2, gives the Wildcats 19 points. They trail by 7. Bradkey. Nobody on court comes anywhere near him in height. Pearce missing. Davis goes up and banks it off the glass. Doesn't go. Pinder grabs the rebound, has it slapped out of his hand, but gets it back.
Wildcats have gone to a 2-3 zone as they did early in the match on Friday to try and regain their momentum and keep the Adelaide 36ers off the boards.
Davis. Ball comes to Orlando Phillips, and it'll be Cal Bruton who wears that foul. Bruton is hurt. Slightly winded, perhaps. Let's see it again. The action in replay.
Scrapping under. Orlando gathers, puts the ball to the floor, goes straight in with the knee. And I think a little more than the pride was hurt.
Well, that probably could have gone either way.
It's 5 on the, sorry, Dave. It's 5 for the quarter on the Wildcats now, so they'll go to the free throw line.
Cal Bruton being worked on by the physio staff. And Wildcats fans will be hoping it isn't too serious. 26 plays 19. There is 4:54 left in the quarter. Bruton aided rather gingerly to his feet and will play on. No, we'll go to the bench. So Eric Watterson is on court for the Wildcats as Bruton sits down next to Trevor Torrance. The boys mop up the sweat on the floor. And we have Phillips going to the free throw line.
Watterson coming into the match after a good match on Friday with 7 assists and 100% from the floor. The Wildcats will hope he can take up where he left off.
Orlando Phillips having a good start to this game. Adelaide last won this title in 1986, the NBL title that is. However, Adelaide were minor premiers in 86, 87 and 88.
37 plays 19. 8 points is the margin. Crawford and with him Bradkey. Ellis goes to Davis. Steve Davis to Pinder, who's on the baseline. Short. Came out of Steve Davis's hands. And so the 36ers will inbound and have the chance now to take their lead into double figures. 4 minutes 30 to play in the first quarter at the Superdrome in the decider between the Adelaide 36ers and the Perth Wildcats. That was Al Green missing from outside the three-point line. Watterson rebounding. He's come into the game to replace Bruton. Davis, who shoots well off the bench, gets them 2 points closer.
Nice move by Steve Davis. Steve Davis's shot selection is, as always, excellent.
Phillips puts Crawford down. Now this will be an important call. 0-0. Orlando Phillips, where's the foul? Let's see it again.
Crawford in good position here, moving slightly forward. There's some soft calls being made out there.
And for Phillips, that's foul number 2. It's Watterson who brings it forward for the Wildcats, playing the point. Crawford turns baseline, and he's been called for the charge.
Tit for tat.
Bradkey stood his ground.
7, charge.
You be the judge on the replay here as the ball's dished in. Bradkey has position. Crawford turns, elbow down. Bradkey helped it, but it goes on the board.
Well, Bradkey won't get an Oscar for that, but he may get a nomination.
This is Green who goes to Phillips. Watterson with Phillips on that occasion. Davis. And there's another foul, this time against Steve Davis, I would think.
11, hands, 2.
Eddie Crouch calling it against Steve Davis, a hand foul. And that will mean that Davis will shoot 2.
13 fouls between the two teams now. 7 for the Wildcats, 6 for Adelaide. The referees are determined not to let this game get out of hand.
Swish goes the first. It's a 7-point game. And back to 8 points. So the 36ers maintaining their ascendancy through this first period.
Mark Davis into double figures. He has 10 so far tonight. Eric Watterson shouting instructions to his teammates. It's Davis who came to him. Crawford finds Ellis quickly. Looks for Pinder at the low post. Phillips, Watterson got in well. What a great dive from Eric Watterson. And that earns the deserved respect of that crowd. Great effort, Eric Watterson.
It was a great effort. Eric came in on Friday and was all fired up, and we remember the exchange between he and Al Green, and they're just about matched up as they are now, but we've got a substitution with Mike Ellis coming out. Trevor Torrance, who could have a big impact upon this game, coming back in now.
Bruton is also back in.
Just try and avoid getting in front of the bench. You aren't the fault at this time, but I've told him, so I'll tell you.
So both coaches being told to stay away from the scorer's bench. So Pinder off court. The Wildcats have gone a little short, John.
They have gone short out there. Pinder needs the rest. He was getting a little bit out of control. Crawford's ball now. Crawford hasn't scored, still hasn't scored.
Bradkey did well to stay in front of him and to get the hand up, just enough to put James Crawford off. Phillips. Turn. Bradkey. Pearce made good position baseline. Gets time for the jump shot. Doesn't find range. Eric Watterson cuts around Pearce, gets the little shot up, makes 2. 23 trails 29, 2:37 left in the first quarter. We have a timeout. The Wildcats trail Adelaide by 6. Would probably rather have continued the momentum there.
Yeah. Like Bruton's back in. He's had a chance for a rest. This extra minute won't hurt him.
No, the media timeout helps there.
3, right? 3 out of it, all right? Daryl, you said low, you said highway, or you said low, you're on the weak side. I know, you come off your open 5, nail this on this. If you're not, I'm on the ball. All right, let's make them play some defense for 20 seconds. Now we're looking for Daryl for the wide open 3.
There's the 36ers bench. Darryl Pearce, number 4. Mark Bradkey, the giant, number 7, getting to his feet. And now the Wildcats break up their huddle. The 36ers lead by 6 points. 29 plays 23. And we've got 2 minutes 37 to play in the first quarter.
2:37 to go in the quarter, everyone.
The 36ers to bring the ball back into play. Pearce and Green in the backcourt. Watterson comes down to meet Green as Bruton goes down to look after Pearce. This is Bradkey. Pearce over the top of Bruton. Oh, dropped.
Well, the first of Darryl Pearce's three-point shots. And he'll be hoping for more of them tonight, as will his Adelaide teammates. Crawford makes the drive baseline. The layup goes in, and for Crawford, that's his first points of the night. Travel called, Wildcats ball. Eric Watterson has Torrance. Torrance now a member of the Boomers squad to tour the USA. Crawford tries again, doesn't go, play on called. Al Green just holds it up. Back to Green from Davis. Bradkey now. Davis turns. Can he get the shot away off the glass? Yes, he can. It won't go, but the foul has been called.
I think we'll find this on Torrance.
Foul was against Trevor Torrance for hand.
Second foul, Trevor Torrance. So they've certainly racked them up. 14 fouls in the first quarter, John.
There's a lot of tension there. Nice match up there with Torrance and Davis. Davis a lot stronger, likes to play inside. Torrance with better speed.
Maintain the rage, everyone. Maintain
Mark
the
Davis, undeniably a great basketballer. NBL All-Star for the last 3 years. Great spirit, the big man. There's another fellow with great spirit. Eric Watterson could have worn the foul, but didn't. Al Green. Adelaide leads by 8. Watterson goes down. There is no foul, and Phillips has 2 more.
I think they'd call that incidental contact. Crouch is saying it had no effect upon the play.
Well, it's a double-figure lead to the 36ers now. They're out by 10. Just over a minute to play in the first quarter. The Wildcats need to make some inroads into that lead. Trevor Torrance comes to the party. This is Green. Now Bradkey. It's been interesting to see Crawford take Bradkey on offensively in the last 2 trips up the court. And there's a great interception by James Crawford. He read that well, affects the steal. Bruton has it. Watterson. Screen provided by Steve Davis as Watterson goes over the top. It runs free. Watterson scrapping brilliantly. Torrance with the shot. And that will be a Wildcats ball from the side.
Great effort from Eric Watterson.
25 seconds to go.
Absolute guts and determination. Should well be the last play of the quarter. Adelaide out by 8, 35-27. Bruton goes baseline, tries the layup, makes 2, 5 seconds to go, 35-29. Defense the name of the game now. Bradkey tries the long outlet pass. Davis, Phillips didn't get the shot away in time. And so at the end of the first 12 minutes of this deciding third elimination final playoff, Adelaide leads by 6, 35-29. Welcome back to the Superdrome, wherever you are throughout Western Australia or South Australia. Alan Black having words to his players. Let's take a look at the comparative statistics between these two teams for the first quarter.
Field shooting percentage favours the Adelaide 36ers, and that's really why they have this 6-point cushion out there. Foul shots just about where they need to be. Rebounds, line ball, turnovers. It's really very much the first quarter of a do-or-die elimination final as we look at the both benches coming out. Fox would be relatively happy with the 35 points for the quarter. Alan Black would be unhappy that he has given up the 35 by virtue of the poorer defence that's allowed 36ers to go inside.
I should think after Friday night that Gary Fox would be absolutely ecstatic with 35 points in the first quarter.
He's led all of the matches in the first quarter, and that's pretty much on line with the same result. I think it was about 31 to about 27 in the first quarter on Friday night. This is the way it started Friday. He needs now to maintain the momentum.
A couple of moves. Adelaide have come out with Mike Mackay, number 10, to start the second quarter. Perth have come out without Mike Ellis, Eric Watterson on court.
Watterson has possession for the Wildcats. The 36ers with a 6-point lead at quarter time. It was a 4-point lead on Friday night. This is Brute, who takes Green on, flicks it out to Torrance, who shoots from in the paint. Torrance has started pretty well. He's got 2 personal fouls, which he'll have to be careful of, but he also has 6 points.
Bradkey was strong early in the first quarter, faded away a little towards the end of that period. 4-point ball game. Well, that fixes it. 38-31, 3 points to Mark Davis.
Strong shot from Mark Davis. He's certainly picked up his range and efficiency in this season from outside.
That's how he started the first quarter as well. Torrance replies with 2.
Torrance looks very relaxed, David. Far more relaxed in the latter part of this season than what he was earlier.
It's the experience starting the show now. Bradkey, Davis going baseline, does that well. Great pass back out to Mackay. What can he do with his first 3-point shot? It's good.
Of course, this Mackay coming into the game was forced to change in the defensive lineup, with Torrance being forced outside to Mackay and Pinder has been forced to take Davis.
The lead is 8 points at the moment. Crawford missing from both inside and outside. As Pearce goes long to the baseline to Davis, and Davis, in losing his footing or in worrying about the baseline, throws the ball away. So a turnover against the 36ers. 41 plays 33. 10 minutes 22 till half time. Brute. Crawford was left unguarded. He takes Bradkey on, and this time it drops.
Strong work under the basket from Crawford.
Nice, encouraging move from Crawford. We haven't seen the fatigue come in as we did on Friday. His aerobic fitness is obviously improving.
Al Green made it look easy. That was difficult, though. So the 36ers maintaining an 8-point split. 43 plays 35. They led by 6 at the quarter. On Friday night, they led by 4 at quarter time. Bruton makes the way through the traffic, makes 2. Pearce, Mackay. Quick work in the backcourt from Adelaide. Bradkey. Still strong work going on under the basket. Mackay tries again from 3 and misses. The outlet pass finds Bruton, who stops just inside, then goes back outside the 3-point range. Pinder cuts. Oh, found Torrance extremely well. Great work by Tiny Pinder.
Tremendous defensive assist there from Mark Davis, but Pinder divested the ball very, very well.
It's back to 4 points. 43 plays 39. This is Bradkey. Crawford with his hands in his face. Steal by Torrance. And Mackay is left lamenting as Torrance stuffs it in the bucket. And Mike Mackay's having plenty to say. He got one in the midriff. I didn't see who handed it out.
Trevor Torrance.
It's a 2-point game. And Gary Fox is forced to call a timeout as the Wildcats charge at the 36ers.
Torrance gave him a huge elbow.
Yeah. He had to go at Brute.
It was Bruton.
Yeah, I think it was. It was after that.
Bruton got him.
Yeah, it wasn't in the steal.
Torrance gave him a big one as well.
Yeah, Bruton got him. Might ask who it was on somebody's birthday.
I just said it was Torrance. I'm going to leave it at that.
It wasn't in the steal, I don't think.
No. It was Torrance gave him one before the steal.
It was after the steal because I.
Another one.
But I didn't see what happened.
Offensively, again, everything's working.
I think Eddie would.
Now we've got a couple of guys
In what?
I'll talk to him. It'll be all right. We'll get him.
Yeah. Eddie'll be okay.
Eddie's fine. Eddie's fine.
Half time?
Yeah, he'd do. He also watched the SBL match last night.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
The Wildcats bench, they've been doing a little running and stunning in the last few minutes and have brought the deficit back to just 2 points, 43-41 in favour of Adelaide.
David, they squared the score up at the 10-minute mark in the second quarter on Friday night, so this game's just about on track to repeat.
And in fact, when they squared it up, they'd made it 43-all. It's now 43-41, so an awful lot of similarities. Adelaide will be hoping that's not an omen of more to come. Mackay. On his day, Mike Mackay, one of the most talented players in the NBL. Crawford got up high.
He's called for goaltending. The 2 points will count. But that's the first time, of course, we've seen Crawford with that emotion running and getting up that high. That's very good for the Wildcats.
Ellis goes for 3. Call 2. He started from just inside the line, so still 2 points to split, 45-43. Adelaide leads.
Much better performance by Mike Ellis. His shot a very poor 28% from the three-point line on Friday.
Mackay, Green. Dwayne Nelson on now for Adelaide. Mackay once again. Davis tries from outside, doesn't go. Bradkey, that would have been a miraculous tip-in. Pinder's been called for the foul, and that'll be his third.
Not worth getting a tech foul for. That way, Eddie. Okay, it's not worth getting a tech foul for, is it? So don't carry on.
As Eddie Crouch says, it's not worth getting a tech foul. Look at this again.
Pinder's got it hooked over. It really was a nothing call with two big guys battling on the boards, but as Crouch says, a tech foul right now would be very, very disadvantageous to the Wildcats.
Reflects the maturity among the referees as well, doesn't it? Davis banks it off the glass, and he's having a great night.
It's 18 points now to Mark Davis. It's a 4-point game as Pinder takes Davis on. Crawford over the top, couldn't quite tap it in. And that foul against Pinder appears to have lifted the 36ers a little.
Interestingly enough, too, while they've left Tiny Pinder on the floor with that third foul, that's a gamble.
Still 7 minutes to play, just over 7 minutes to play in the second quarter. Pinder from just outside the free throw line. The Wildcats not making the most of their scoring opportunities. They're 4 points down. Pinder on 3 fouls. That's the biggest single tally on any player at the moment. Nelson to Mackay. Bradkey copped a very solid one as Bruton comes in and swats it away from Mark Davis. And it will be a 36ers ball. Phillips comes back in. And I think it'll be Bradkey who will have a spell. Now Pinder goes out and Davis goes in. So an important period this as far as the Wildcats are concerned.
The interchange between Bradkey and Pinder as they both left the floor would indicate where that last contact came from.
Al Green, you going to leave it at that or tell us some more?
No, I think we'll leave it to the referees.
Davis missed that one. Wildcats ball at the side. Ellis brings it forward for the Wildcats. Torrance, a little push from Dwayne Nelson. Bruton tries to get past Green but can't. Torrance goes all the way through the lane in the middle, takes the way up for 2, and the Wildcats 45, still trail by 2, Adelaide 47. Trevor Torrance has 14 points. Mackay, Dwayne Nelson. Nowhere to go at the moment. Phillips comes to him and then sets the screen in reverse. No score. And this should go against Phillips.
2-0.
In fact, against Nelson. Let's see it again.
on the left hand, moving through. Crawford's there, well in advance of Nelson. Offensive charge.
So the ball carrier surrenders possession, and the Wildcats come forward again with Ellis. Bounce pass finds Bruton, who goes outside. The layup just wasn't there. Ellis still. Mackay hassles him. Torrance takes the hand off and makes two.
And that ties the ball game up. The Wildcats back on even terms since the opening moments of this game. For the first time since the opening moments of this game. This is Nelson. And now the crowd's starting to warm to their task as the ball runs free from Green. He retrieved it just short of the baseline of the centre line. Davis, a pair of Davises. And an offensive foul called against Mark Davis. That's his third. The ball didn't drop. And so the tide just starting to turn a little.
It is, and two of those offensive charges are going to hurt the 36ers, and that was helped by Bruton's help defence.
And that evens things up between Mark Davis and Tiny Pinder. 3 fouls apiece. Davis has taken off. Orlando Phillips comes back in. This has only had a very short break.
This now comes down to the coaches at work here because two of their studs are on the bench and the little guys are going to play.
Torrance finds Crawford, who made space by getting away from Nelson. Steve Davis, that's about his range. He makes two and the Wildcats hit the front for the first time in the game. (49-47) the Wildcats lead. What will Adelaide do now? Mackay, Wayne Nelson. Green made space at the low post. No foul called. Adelaide ball at the side. Good defensive work by Mike Ellis. So Pearce to inbound. Mackay will try to make space and does. Al Green. Wayne Nelson now goes to the baseline. Turned around again by Crawford. Takes a little jump shot and makes two. Ellis brings it forward. 49 apiece. Pearce has Ellis in his sights. Torrance, Bruton outside. Good pass to find James Crawford. Banks it off the glass for two. 51-49 Wildcats.
Clever pass from Bruton. It had to be perfectly positioned for Crawford to get around his opponent, and it was. 4 minutes to play in the first half. The foul will be on Steve Davis. Reaching in over the top of Orlando Phillips.
It's 11. Push, side.
2 fouls now on Steve Davis. And the 36ers go to the side. 2 fouls for each team so far in this quarter. Nelson. Ball knocked away from Crawford. Pearce makes the points. Ties it up. The crowd is mute. Pinder still on the bench. His legs have had a rest. His tongue hasn't. Crawford over the top. Well short. Comfortable rebound to Green. And now the opportunity for the 36ers to get their noses back in front. Mackay trying to drive. Comfortable for Phillips.
I suspect that Alan Black will be bringing Tiny Pinder in for James Crawford here to try and contain Orlando Phillips.
Well, Adelaide have done this manfully after going down by 20 points on Friday night. Before this afternoon's game, there was a bit of a sweep among some of the media people here from both Adelaide and Perth. One of the suggestions was that Perth would win this by 40. I think that's out of the ballpark.
That suggestion could not have come from WA.
I say no more. Al Green finds Nelson with a touchdown pass. Nelson goes past Steve Davis. Tries to get the rebound himself. Succeeds only in spoiling somebody's lunch. So Pinder comes in for Crawford. Crawford once again is sucking air very, very deeply.
It's more than that. It's his ankle. Talking to the team doctor, who has examined him several times this week. He really shouldn't be out there, and it will necessitate an operation at the end of this season. That's a three-pointer from Torrance that puts the Wildcats back in front. They're only going to be able to use Crawford for limited periods of time. He really is in a lot of bother, and he's exerted himself in this second quarter. 19 points in the game for Trevor Torrance, and we're still 2.5 minutes short of half-time. Davis did a good job. I thought he did a good job on Phillips, not in the opinion of Ray Hunt. Phillips will go to the free throw line.
So Ray Hunt made the call. Let's see why he called it.
Davis reaching in theory, the cylinder above the player he is entitled to. That's his space.
13 points so far tonight, Orlando Phillips. That makes it 14. Ties the ball game, 54 apiece. Adelaide into the lead, 55-54. 2:22 left till half-time. The injury to Crawford. We'll see the Wildcats bringing somebody else off their bench. Rob Dempster. Bruton makes 2. The Wildcats lead by 1. And a timeout has been called, so the Wildcats leading by 1. We have 2:11 left in this half.
In your room.
Welcome back to the Superdome in Perth. This deciding elimination final between the Wildcats and the 36ers, and the home side leads by 1, 56-55, after trailing 29-35 at quarter time. The thing's running remarkably similar to the last game at the moment. It was 59-54 at half-time on Friday night.
Dempster on the floor for the Wildcats. He'll be out there to contain Phillips. Ellis back on green. They'll go at it for the rest of the match.
Scrapping work by Mike Ellis, trying to keep Al Green in the 36ers defensive court for 10 seconds. Trevor Torrance gets the intercept. Can't quite hang on to it, but that's the job that he wanted to do at the time. Gary Fox barking instructions. And what if you believe the Adelaide media, could well be his last game in control of the 36ers.
Inside 10 seconds on the shot clock.
5 seconds. Green's got to get the shot away. Phillips. Now, yes, it counts. It went on the buzzer.
I didn't hear the buzzer.
No, only just. So Adelaide leads by 1, 57-56. Bruton, the ball carrier, takes the shot from inside three-point range. Doesn't go, and Bradkey is up for the defensive rebound. Out it comes through Dwayne Nelson now. Pearce. The Wildcats pick it up. It's 4-on-2 if they can use it. Ellis goes all the way himself and gets the layup. So with just over a minute to go, the Wildcats lead by 1, 58-57.
Point for point through the last 2.5 minutes of this first half. Phillips screaming at his guards after that last passage from the 36ers. He wants the ball in high, not low. This is Pearce. Bruton is with him. Now Nelson. Phillips gets it this time. Pinder can do about that. Pinder's on 3 fouls. We're inside the last minute. The 36ers lead the Wildcats by a point. There'll be at least 2 plays left. 36 seconds left now. 19 on the shot clock. Ellis goes to Pinder. Nelson is with him. This is Bruton. Bruton, who's cut the keyway well, has drawn a foul. This is important.
15.
It's on Al Green.
2.
That's 3 on Al Green. There's the replay of it. You saw Green grabbing Bruton almost up on the bicep. And as a result of that third personal foul, Al Green is immediately subbed out. 27 seconds to play as Bruton takes the first of his free throws. That ties the game up. And there'll be one play left. Should Bruton, or time for one play, should Bruton make this shot. The 36ers have 27 seconds. This is Spear who's come onto the court. Goes long to Bradkey. They'll count it down as long as they can. It's 20 seconds now. Pierce has it. 15 seconds to half-time. The Wildcats leading by a point. There's the steal from Bruton. He takes Bradkey on. The Wildcats lead by 3. And he draws the foul. First foul on Mark Bradkey. 19 points so far to Cal Bruton. Here's Bruton with superior pace. Bradkey. Well, I don't know if you saw it, but I certainly didn't. The foul will count against Mark Bradkey. Bruton with the bonus shot. The Wildcats are leading by 3 and now 4. As Bruton comes out with 8 seconds to play. The Wildcats applying a full court press with 8 seconds left to play. Torrance intercepts a 36ers ball from the side. 5 seconds to play. 5 seconds to go till half-time. Pierce to inbound. Gets it to Nelson. Foul call. No, it's not a foul. It was over the sideline. 3.8 seconds. The Wildcats have possession from the side. So this last 30 seconds has been a devastating one by the Wildcats. The 36ers were in a position to go in with a half-time lead, and suddenly they find themselves 4 points down as that wayward pass goes across the sideline. And now they want the court wiped. No, they're bringing it back to where it went out originally. Bad mistake by the Wildcats. Spear will inbound. 3.8 seconds to half-time. They lobbed the pass to Bradkey. Was well done. Cleverly done. The Wildcats badly outmanned back there. That's half-time. The Wildcats lead 63 points to 61. That basket from Bradkey on the buzzer almost. A timely one for the 36ers. That will give them something on which to build their second half. 63-61. The Wildcats lead the 36ers at half-time in the third and final game in the elimination final playoff.
Another page from the Nike NBL notebook. Rebounds and turnovers. Another page from the Nike NBL notebook. Rebounds and turnovers. Basketball is a game of possession, so rebounds and turnovers are what could win or lose a game. A defensive rebound is getting possession of the ball after your opponent misses a shot. An offensive rebound is getting possession of the ball after your teammate misses a shot. A turnover is loss of possession without even getting a shot away. So turnovers are detrimental, while rebounds can clinch the game. Another page from the Nike NBL notebook.
And welcome back to the Superdrome. We're at half-time. The Wildcats lead by 2, 63-61. Spent a lot of time talking about the players, but two men who have just as much to do with the game, of course, are the referees. Two of the most experienced NBL referees handling this game. In fact, the two most experienced in the league. Wally Foreman is talking with Eddie Crouch and Ray Hunt.
Well, Eddie, finals are big occasions for everyone concerned, and I'm sure that applies to the referees as well.
Yes, we get ourselves pretty anxious when finals time comes around, of course, and it's a completely different game naturally. Once you get into the final series, it's do or die for all teams in the competition. I guess the best thing's been the best of three, because it gives everybody a real fair chance to work out who's the best of the two teams competing at each time.
I guess once it gets down to the deciding game, such as this one, it must put in immense pressure on the referees when you come to calling fouls and what have you.
Yes, it's very intense, and this game in particular, you know, each of the three games have been very tough, very physical, and we know that, and naturally before the game we chat about the game and who's who on the court and who to keep an eye out for, but our job's there to arbitrate the game and try and let the crowd enjoy it without us controlling the game from the whistle point of view.
Do the two refs, and in this case yourself and Ray Hunt, both very experienced referees, but do you have a talk about the style that you will adopt for finals, and if you do, does it vary from a normal qualifying game?
Not really. I think in any game you tend to try and call it a little tight early, just to set the pattern and get the teams into the mood of playing, and letting them know that we're not out there to allow them to get away with any cheap shots and so on. But Ray and I naturally have a chat about it, and we try to start off, you know, in control, and then just ease off a little bit and let them play and let them enjoy it.
How would you describe the first half of this game? Has it been perhaps a bit easier than Friday night?
I think I've got a sweat up at the moment, so it's a little tight and a little tough in there. Yeah, it's a great game. It really is. It's enjoyable, and one of the things that I'm in the game for is to enjoy it. I think you've got to have a good sense of humour to be a referee, and you know, you're in no-win situation all the time. But no, this one's a real top game.
I don't doubt that, and I think the crowd would agree. You've done a good job so far. All the best in the second half.
Thanks very much, Wally.
We'll take this break, and then we'll be going back to David Christensen.
Doo-doo. welcome back once again to the Superdome in Perth for an intriguing second half of basketball and what really has been just about a photocopy of Friday night's second elimination final between these two sides. Adelaide in both games leading by 4 or 6 points at quarter time and then trailing by a couple at half time. Let's have a look firstly at the leading scorers for the Adelaide 36ers during that first quarter. Orlando Phillips with 19 points, an absolutely manful effort from him today. Mark Davis with 18, the sort of thing we've come to expect, and 9 points to Bradkey, 8 to Darryl Pearce. And John Gardner, I think Adelaide probably need to spread their scoring around a bit more or get a bigger effort from a few more players.
They do, in particular they need more help from the back court. We know that they'll be strong, we know they'll put the ball inside. Pearce is the only one that's shown any effort and endeavour from the outside.
Okay, let's have a look at the Wildcats' leading scorers to half-time.
Well, we've got a very interesting spread here with Cal Bruton with 20 points. He had 22 on Friday, already has 20 at half-time. Trevor Torrance with 19, and I think Torrance had the best and the most significant effect upon the game in that last quarter. And he looks very fresh and very relaxed, as we were talking earlier. The experience is helping as we get through the season.
Well, I guess the Wildcats will be hoping for a bit more scoring from both Tiny Pinder and James Crawford. The comparative stats between these two sides should be fairly interesting. Again, Adelaide leading the field goal percentage at this stage, 61% to 56%. Rebounds, Perth have caught up a bit on their first and second elimination final efforts against Adelaide, 15-17. Turnovers, again, Adelaide throwing the ball away twice as often as Perth. Fouls are pretty much even, John Gardner.
Turnover problem for Adelaide 36ers. Gary Fox would not be happy with that at all because he needs to retain possession to get it inside to his big men under the basket.
Okay, so if you were Gary Fox, what would you be telling specific players at half-time?
I think I'd be looking to push the ball inside and then once it gets inside to be more selective. Try to come outside, use Mackay, Green and Pearce a little more, but I would certainly be looking to run the ball. We've got a scoreline of 63-61. That suits Adelaide.
Again, the Wildcats started slowly. What's the problem for Alan Black? If they come out and win by 20 as they did on Friday night, there is no problem. But
Sure.
What's the problem with that slow start?
Well, I think it's a matter of getting his momentum up and playing the offence as it goes through. The other thing he's concerned about is the rebound situation. He wants to build up and work through his offence. He doesn't want to run and gun until he's comfortable.
And, of course, that problem with James Crawford's injured ankle. And that injured ankle, of course, could really stop the Wildcats in their stride.
I think that's a great worry because Crawford looks fit out there, much fitter than what he did on Friday. But the ankle injury is hurting him, and if he cannot overcome that, the Wildcats will have to look to Tiny Pinder, and he's not running as well as he did Friday.
Okay, well, one man who I guess will be hoping that James Crawford doesn't play a big part in the second half is Adelaide coach Gary Fox. He's downstairs talking with Wally Foreman.
Gary, close enough if good enough?
Yeah, well, you're right. This is the closest we've been in 2 games, so we're pretty happy about the situation. Obviously we like to be further ahead, but we're within 2 points and the destiny's in our own hands.
What did you tell the boys here at halftime?
Well, that we've got to come out and play aggressively and continue to attack and try and go after them on their front line because they got a few people in foul trouble.
You're getting the ball inside to the big guys, and they're doing a good job for you in there.
Yes, they are. We got a lot of strength around the basket. Davis, Bradkey, Phillips, they've been very effective down there.
I guess just a few too many turnovers for your liking?
Yeah, we made some passes that some of the boys thought they were automatic. You just can throw the ball, willy-nilly, but they've got to be a little bit more aware of that, and that's going to be a big factor in the second half if we can stop the turnovers.
Foxy, this is it. Good luck.
Thanks very much.
Okay, that's the Adelaide coach, Gary Fox, just about set to start the second half action. We'll take a break. We'll be back in a moment.
Welcome back to the Superdrome for the second half of basketball in this elimination final. Of course, also happening in Perth at the moment are the local state basketball league semi-finals. And John Gardner, your team went down last night.
Yes, a little unfortunate. We went down to the Burswood Redbacks, 98-93 in a very tough encounter that could have gone either way.
And some good news for the country viewers, especially those around Geraldton Wade Bay.
GWN viewers would be very happy with the fact that the Batavia Buccaneers 106 defeated the Tagny Tigers 93. They will go on next Saturday to play the Burswood Redbacks in the final of the SBL.
Wally Foreman to take us away in the second half.
The Wildcats lead by 2 as Crawford and Bradkey prepare to contest the tip-off, and Bradkey wins it decisively but puts it straight to Bruton. Bruton takes the defence on. Pinder with a strong rebound. The Wildcats are out by 4, as they probably should have been at half-time.
Al Green now. Darryl Pearce. Cuts past Bruton, finds a lane, gets the shot away, but it won't fall. Tiny Pinder puts it off the board for James Crawford to collect the valuable rebound. Well, there goes the value of the rebound, unfortunately, for the Wildcats fans here.
It's 2 very ordinary passes by Pinder in the last minute of basketball. And Alan Black has just drop-kicked a chair into the 5th row of bleachers. This is Green. Goes inside to Phillips. Pinder can't afford to move. Phillips almost threw it away. It's retrieved by Green. This is Davis. Torrance with him. Pinder flicks that away from Phillips. Ellis has it. Brilliantly done to get it back to Crawford in a crowded keyway. Pinder now goes over the top. And that will perhaps help Tiny Pinder to regain his composure.
You wouldn't have seen it on screen, but after that steal, Mike Ellis had the biggest smile on his face I think I've ever seen. Darryl Pearce. Mark Davis, who's played so well during this series, misses with that one. Phillips gets the rebound, fingertips it in. The Wildcats up by 4, 67-63. Ellis. Crawford. Bowls over Orlando Phillips.
Oh, dear.
The charge called, second foul for Crawford.
Let's have a look at it. Orlando Phillips still moving sideways for my money and going underneath Crawford. But Ray Hunt's in the better position, and that's the way he saw it.
Oh, the refs have done a pretty good job so far in this game. Al Green. 4 points the split in favour of the Wildcats. Bradkey has Pearce. Phillips, they're looking to get inside. Davis and Bradkey are there. So too are the Wildcats, and they come forward in force. Ellis has gone all the way. Finger roll doesn't work, but Torrance gets the rebound, or does he? Yes, he does. So the Wildcats operating on a fresh shot clock. Bruton cuts his way through traffic, draws the foul. If this is from Green, Green is in trouble. Let's listen to Eddie Crouch. Indeed it is. And for Al Green, that is foul number 4. Bruton did well.
Bruton goes through, Green's let him go, and then he's tried to strip the ball. He may have made contact with the ball, but there was still contact with the arm. He was looking for the help defence underneath Al Green. There was none there. Bruton did it well.
So 20 points in the first half to Cal Bruton. 34 years and 51 weeks old. 21 now. In points, not years.
It's a long time ago, isn't it?
If they win this, he'll feel 21.
For all of us, Dave.
For yourself, Wally. David Spears' first touch of the basketball. 69-63, the Wildcats. Spear played well when he came on Friday night. 20-point loss was not his fault. Pearce finds Phillips, does well. Phillips goes in with the slam dunk. 4 points the split now to the Wildcats.
Phillips has had a pretty good game so far. That's 21 points, as David indicated. 23 points, in fact. Bradkey's the player they're not getting the same effort from at the moment as they got the other night. There's Crawford putting it in to extend the lead to 6 again. Bradkey scored only 9 points as Torrance comes across, anticipating well, and knocks it out of court. The pass was intended for Davis. Spear goes to Pearce. Pearce, the screen provided by Mark Davis. Pearce penetrates, gets it to Phillips again. He's creating havoc on the boards.
Creating a lot of space in there and going to work, and they haven't got an answer, the Wildcats, at the moment, to Orlando Phillips and his inside power game.
25 points to Phillips so far. Pinder and Ellis, the screen set by Pinder. The three-point shot from Ellis is not successful, and Phillips grabs a good defensive rebound. Spear brings it forward. Davis, easy under the basket. 4 points to the Wildcats, 71-69. Cats go forward again. So for the Wildcats, Pinder and Torrance on 3 fouls. This is Crawford, who had a lot of work done on his ankle and his lower back in the halftime break. Trevor Torrance splits it out a little more with a three-point bomb, 74-69.
It's a big game from Torrance so far, 22 points. This is Bradkey. This is a crucial quarter. Bradkey with a shot. Pinder with a rebound. A crucial quarter. It was in the third quarter on Friday night that the Wildcats split the game open as Ellis takes it to the bucket. Phillips again with the rebound. He's double-teamed as he's stripped of the ball by Crawford, but regathers it. Pierce goes to Spear. Bradkey with only Torrance to beat. Phillips again. Really is causing some pain for the Wildcats and almost single-handedly keeping the 36ers in touch. The Wildcats went out by 15 points in the third quarter on Friday night. To the 36ers' credit, they're clinging tenaciously to them at the moment.
Cal Bruton uses Pinder as the screen. It's the shot away, but it doesn't go, and Bradkey is there, solid as a rock for the defensive rebound. And for the offensive shot, that too makes it a one-point ball game, 74-73.
Every shot from the 36ers has been inside the paint since half-time.
So we have the first time out of the second half with 7:07 left in the third quarter. The Wildcats lead it by 1. And a very, very angry Wildcats huddle during that timeout. Alan Black exhorting his troops to work both ends of the court, John Gardner.
He's very, very worried that they're only working on offense and not on defense. As we made comment before the timeout, the 36ers have been able to penetrate inside the keyway, inside the paint, and that's the easiest percentage shot to make.
So Bruton has the ball now for the Wildcats. The alley-oop pass doesn't quite come off, but works as an easy basket for Pinder. The Wildcats out by 3 and shooting 55% from the floor. Spear and Davis. Bradkey. Spear again. Well, that went astray, and Davis was there to take advantage of it.
Davis is on the court in place of Crawford as Bruton tries to go through, and he's drawn a foul. It'll be a shooting foul.
32, 3, 2.
It's called on David Spear.
Bruton's done this well all night. He's penetrated, taken the first step, got head and shoulders in front of his defensive assignment and gone to the basket.
I thought he was about to embark on the old straddle. Cal Bruton at the free throw line. What a big night he's had. Now I'm doing it. What a big afternoon he's had.
Well, it's going to be a good night for one of these teams after this game.
Certainly is.
We settle on the evening.
They've got 18 minutes, 32 seconds left in this game, left to play. And it will be the last 18 minutes, 32 seconds of the season for either the 36ers or the Wildcats. At the moment, the Wildcats lead by the very narrow margin of 4 points as Spear puts up a three-point attempt. Davis backs into Bradkey. Ellis knocks it away from Bradkey and retains control of it. Well played, Mike Ellis, as Davis gives it to Bruton. Bruton takes on Phillips. Bradkey's back to lend support and hide under the basket. He's got Torrance. Ellis goes baseline. Poor pass tended for Davis. Mark Davis has it. Bruton wasn't able to take him on without surrendering the foul, and so it's a 2-point game.
The speed with which Bruton got back down court, he would have broken 9 seconds over the 100.
Super effort by Bruton to cover that ground and get in front of Davis.
Ellis makes 3. And a crowd like that, thumbs up indeed. Well, Mike Ellis certainly is capable of changing the course of a game. He only has 9 points so far tonight.
Mike Ellis is the ball carrier and one of the strongest ball carriers in the NBL, and his rate of improvement this year has been enormous because the Wildcats have put the ball back in his hands.
Well, touted as possibly the most improved player in the National Basketball League for 1989. That wouldn't have hurt his chances either. 80-75. The Wildcats out by 5. Spear and Davis. Orlando Phillips. Can he make 2 more? Yes, he can, and has drawn the foul.
Wildcats are hurting badly right now. They need to match up.
Good count. 11. Yeah. 1. Sub.
Phillips has got entirely too much space. He's gone past Steve Davis. He's in through. The hand foul is there, and that's a 3-point play. Crawford not being on the floor has hurt them with their matchup. They've brought Crawford back in. They cannot allow Orlando Phillips any more leeway under the basket.
So he makes 1 more, and that reduces the deficit for Adelaide to 2 points. 78 trails 80, and Phillips now has 30 points for the day. I got that right.
You did.
Eric Watterson. Bounce pass finds Trevor Torrance. Can't make the 2, and that man Phillips is there again. Well, superb game from the import. Davis, who's also had a superb game, ties up the ball game at 80 points apiece.
This really has been an outstanding performance. Great character being shown here by the 36ers. They're the side that's disadvantaged, having to play 2 games on the road, and I don't think that basket will count.
No score. 32.
Foul on David Spear. It's his second. Torrance will inbound for the Wildcats. Wilbur with a concerned look on his face in the background. Crawford only just able to get hold of that. Watterson. It's 80 points apiece, 4 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter. And there's Phillips again. He's winning many of these rebounds without a contest. Bradkey takes Torrance on, flicks it back to Spear. Davis. Torrance with the rebound. Double team. It spills to Bruton. He's outnumbered 3-1 back there. That's dangerous. Lucky. Fortunate run there for the Wildcats.
And up until then, John Gardner, David Spear had cut Carl Bruton out for a good few minutes.
He had, but Bruton's coming down and looking to push the ball up. Maybe a little bit too early at the moment because they need the ball to go through a couple of offensive sets.
Bradkey, Pearce, Spear is open on the right. They elect not to use him.
Wildcats in a 2-3 zone here where there's a gap at the back. Ball
Davis exploited the gap well. 82 apiece. Nip and tuck. Watterson, Crawford, Pinder goes low post, cuts across baseline, but Crawford elects to take the jump shot. Torrance gets up for the rebound. Harms out to Bruton. Watterson now. Pinder will take the shot. No, he won't. Finds Crawford intelligently. Crawford can't quite get it off the glass. Bruton should make the 2. 2 3/4 left in the 3rd quarter. Pearce tries for 3, doesn't go. Up the rebound went Pinder and got it. He's hassled, manages to get the ball out of his hands. Watterson finds Torrance making a great cut through to the paint.
The Wildcats lead by 4. Timeout called by Gary Fox. It's a 4-point game at the Superdome in the best of 3 series to decide who will go through to the next round of the playoffs.
I want it all.
It's a very tense stadium, the Perth Superdome. The Wildcats lead the 36ers by 4 points with 2 minutes 25 to play in the third period. There's the 36ers bench in the background as David Spear brings it in to Daryl Pearce and then back to Spear. We've seen little of Mike Mackay in this game. We've seen nothing of Peter Eli. We've seen plenty of Mark Davis. Spear, Eli is out there now. This is him. Pearce flicks it back to Eli. Spear has room. Pinder with a rebound. And Mark Davis, who has 3 personal fouls, was not prepared to contest that rebound.
You can't blame him at this stage of the game. We're inside the last 2 minutes of the third quarter. No score on that play, says Eddie Crouch. Let's wait for the call.
3-2. It's a push.
David Spear, 3 fairly cheap fouls all the way through.
He's having trouble. He can't match Bruton for pace, and Bruton's penetrating on the baseline.
The Black Pearl. Cal Bruton just on the 3-point line. Doesn't go. Pender gets up for the tip. Can only tip it over the baseline. Watterson hassling Spear. Not for long. Backs off. Allows him into the forward court. Eli. Pearce baseline. No shot taken. Spear will use Pearce again. Tries to find a gap through. Nelson let it go cleverly for Eli. Well, let it go anyway.
Good rebound by Torrance there. Good outlet to Bruton. Bruton finding space on the left. He's propping and back to Watterson.
3-point shot goes. Eric Watterson gives the Wildcats a 7-point lead, 89-82.
The 36ers are turning the ball over again, John.
They are. Their turnovers have been double that of the Wildcats.
As Eli gets it into Pearce, this time on the baseline, and they make the points. The Wildcats lead by 5. We're inside the last minute of the third quarter. 89-84. Watterson counting the clock down. This is Dempster. Nelson is with him. It's Bruton looking for better position. He's in a spot of bother. He gets it to Dempster. We've got 10 seconds on the shot clock. Bruton takes the defence on and makes 3.
That's not a basket, that's a party trick.
Heard that somewhere before.
Yeah. I was going to say Carl Bruton as basketball's answer to Gary Ablett. He's just about shown it today. 27 points to Carl Bruton. 15 seconds in the third quarter. Crowd screaming for defence. It's where the Wildcats have fallen down. 5 seconds and Pinder gets it. Can he make it? He's going to have a shot. 1 second. This will be the biggest three-pointer you've ever seen. Doesn't go. And so at three-quarter time, the Wildcats are out by 7. 91 plays 84.
Green that much, and he's got to be angry with Green after Friday.
Well, Green's also mishandled Cal. I mean, Cal's gone around him 3 or 4 times, and Bruton's hurting them badly by that penetrating dribble.
But if he's cheesed off with Mackay, he's also cheesed off with Green.
So this is it, 12 minutes of basketball left for one of these two teams in season 1989. At quarter time, the Wildcats trailed by 6, 29-35. They led by 2 at half-time, 63-61, and lead by 7 at three-quarter time, 91-84. Let's take a look at the comparative stats to date as we wait for the Wildcats to come out.
that gap on the field shooting percentage has come back a little bit towards the Wildcats. Still, Adelaide have that cushion, but the thing that's really hurting the Adelaide team is that turnover rate. 21-11. They have squandered possession out there, and I think that if they don't rectify that, they're in trouble, because that allows the Wildcats to get into their running game.
So the mascot leaves the court. The big guys take to the pine. And this is the last 12 minutes before mothballs for one of these two sides.
The Wildcats lead the 36ers by 7 points. Pinder knocks it, but only as far as Nelson. An interesting lineup to start for the 36ers. Both Phillips and Bradke off the court. It's Davis, Ali, Mark Phillips, Green and Pearce. The Wildcats have gone with Crawford and Pinder as Nelson puts the first shot up. Pinder flicks it away, but it's claimed by Ali. A long bomb from Pearce. Nelson.
It'll be on Nelson, holding down.
Second foul.
John Gardner called it. It's called on Dwayne Nelson. Only his second. But Pinder was in there, and that will put the Wildcats fans' hearts in their mouths.
Interestingly enough, at the moment, Wally, they've brought Mike Mackay on. He is feeling that back, and they've got a small lineup on with Pearson, Mackay and Green trying to shoot their way out of this zone defence.
Well, Mike Mackay didn't come out with the rest of the team at half-time. He stayed in the rooms and got more physio treatment to his lower back. Darryl Pearce with that foul, his first. Trevor Torrance just running across court, back in the game for the Wildcats. Dempster back on the bench.
Little cameo role from Dempster, came out there, rested Torrance, rested Crawford, made a lot of ground on the board.
Clever coaching by Alan Black. Crawford has drawn the foul. So third foul for Dwayne Nelson. And James Crawford will go to the line and will be shooting two. James Crawford averaged 28 points per game during the regular season. It's been down a little on that during the playoffs. Twice, though, in his career, he has scored better than 50 points in 1987. Both times, 52 points against Westside and 57 against the Melbourne Tigers. That's not the sort of form he usually exhibits. As I said, down perhaps by his own standards over this elimination final series, but it's been a very, very tough 3 games. Makes that one. So 92-84, the Wildcats by 8. Mackay, as we said, hampered by a sore back. A very, very talented basketballer, though. So is this man, Mark Davis. Off the glass, can't make it. Strong work under the basket between Davis and Crawford.
Jeez, Davis didn't take any backward steps, and he pushed Crawford well out of the way.
Pearce, Al Green. Nelson on the paint, gets up very, very well, doesn't go. Davis is there. Walk Crawford. Eric Watterson, cheap foul coming through.
Better foul for the Wildcats with Watterson, because Pinder was looking the other way. He didn't want to look at the referee then.
Fans, 2.
Interesting to see that the Wildcats have gone back. Cal Bruton, the leading scorer, coming out with 27 points, replaced by Mike Ellis. The Wildcats have gone back to a man-to-man defence.
Dwayne Nelson has scored only 2 points so far in this game. His team trails by 8, so they need these. And it's a very vocal crowd at the Superdome now. And that will reduce the noise by a few decibels at least.
Wildcats have done a much better job on Dwayne Nelson this game. He scored 18 on Friday night.
Pinder in front, only just able to hang on to that, but he made good position, Tiny Pinder, and he's given the Wildcats use of the ball, and they've conceded only 1 point out of that play. Ellis for 3. Well, that really hurts the 36ers. The lead is out to 10. This is Green.
Well, it really will be a test of character now for the 36ers. 10 points down. Pinder takes it before it even gets to the rim. In fact, it wasn't going there. No look pass from Ellis finds Pinder. Tries the three-point shot, and Tiny Pinder has done it again. This is what he did on Friday night. Tiny for PM. Well, he'd get about 5,800 votes here this afternoon. What an absolutely sensational couple of seconds from Tiny Pinder.
That's Tiny. He's got the chance to turn this around. He's fine. He's sitting there right now.
Second foul to Mike Ellis. Adelaide 36ers call a timeout. 98 plays, 85 at the Super Try.
On the way to paperback was on my knee.
Allen needs to be stronger with it.
.59 on the clock. Inside the last 10 minutes of the season for one of these two teams. Again, John Gardner, the crowd have played their part, although they went silent in the second quarter.
They did, but of course that last play phase when you saw Pinder steal that ball, come down, take the three-pointer, they love that. Tiny Pinder is out there running, the adrenaline's pumping, and the crowd are right now behind the Wildcats. And the 36ers looks as if their head is down just a little bit.
Mike Mackay. Well, when things aren't going your way, they're just not going your way, are they?
No, they're not working. Mackay's struggling at the moment.
10.
Trevor Torrance, foul 3.
Let's see if we can pick it up in the middle. See, Torrance still leaning in that imaginary cylinder of space above Davis. Is his space. He's entitled to jump straight up. Torrance reaches in, makes the hand foul.
So Mark Davis takes his personal tally this afternoon to 27. And he's shooting 62% from the floor. No way? Well, let's see. Yes, he does. 28 points. 98 plays 87. 36ers trail by 11. Still have quite a job in front of them. 9:44 left on the clock. Mike Ellis, along with Trevor Torrance in the Boomers side. Cheap foul from Al Green. And Al Green is out of the ball game. Al Green is out of the elimination finals. And if our statistics are right, and I suspect they are, Al Green goes out of the game with a very disappointing 2 points. Mike Ellis congratulates him on the season.
Mike takes him, dishes, goes towards, puts the elbow up, the contact's made.
Back live again, it's Ellis doing the job. Phillips comes away, finds Mackay, Pearce to the right, and that's where it goes. Great pass back inside to Bradkey. Great work by Darryl Pearce, great vision.
Yes, and a good move there and a pass by Mackay from Pearce, finding Bradkey underneath. As Eddie Crouch gives you, that's Trevor Torrance's fourth foul. Looking at the Adelaide 36ers right now, in my view, it's around Bradkey and Davis. This game revolves right there. Like you've seen Orlando come back in, so they've got everything to gain right now, and they're going very, very big.
Well, if Darryl Pearce and Mike Mackay don't hit their straps from outside, the 36ers are in big trouble. They can't just afford to trade baskets anymore. We're in the home stretch and they trail by 9, 98-89.
Still a long way to go though, 9 minutes 21. The game can go either way and the 36ers just won't be denied. The character of this team has been questioned throughout the season, but their comeback on Wednesday night in Adelaide and their persistency here this afternoon has to be admired. Crawford in the corner. Takes Phillips on. He would like to draw the foul. Now here's Phillips. It's only a 9-point game at the moment. The Wildcats would not want to go to sleep. This is Bradkey. Davis over the top. He's had an outstanding game. And now Pearce applies the pressure to Ellis. They've turned it over. This game is well and truly alive. Don't worry about that. The score's good. The foul's on Watterson. And this will make it a 4-point game if Davis can make it a 3-point play.
Well, great work by Mark Davis. He's done a sensational job. And Alan Black is forced to call a timeout with the Wildcats leading by 5, 98-93.
Davis is fired up. Davis wants to play.
They are quite capable of blowing this.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. They've got their best lineup back in here now, but they've got to play some offense. They've got to make sure, conversely, that Adelaide need to play defense. They're not doing that right now. So when Bruton was in there, he was pushing the ball inside. The fouls were coming their way.
That last time out of Fox's was just after Pinder hit that three-pointer, and they've lost their momentum since then.
The Wildcats have looked good when they've stolen the ball and have been running. Without that, they've got to come back.
Welcome back to the Superdome. The 36ers definitely making a fight of this final quarter. They've come back from being 7 points down. At one stage they got within 4. They're now 5 points down. And if this one goes from Davis, they'll be 4 down again. Misses, but now they have the chance to make it more than that. Pearce with a 3-point shot. Well, didn't go. That really was bad luck from Pearce. Bruton really could have done himself an awful lot of damage there. We'll wait and see whether he gets up. Wow. Let's have a look at that again. That was athletic. In fact, it was suicidal.
It is, but Bruton's commitment to the game and to winning is absolutely 110%.
Well, fortunately got his foot down before his body hit the stanchion. Bradkey has time to take the 3-point shot, but isn't confident enough to do it, so Davis does. Misses. Phillips got the hand up, but Ellis came out with the ball. Every rebound now crucial for both teams.
The Wildcats are in a team foul situation too. So are the 36ers. They're on 4. This is Bruton. Inside to Crawford. Almost lost control. Bradkey over the top. Wildcats ball.
Great defense from Bradkey. Wildcats at the side then. Bruton tries the early shot. It doesn't go, and neither Pinder nor Crawford were able to get in there to get up and contest that rebound. Davis, who has been the player of the game so far. Mackay, who's been down in his own form. Davis again, banks it off the glass, makes 2. We have a 3-point ball game.
Well, you really have to acknowledge Gary Fox in this last quarter, I think. He called a crucial timeout just after Pinder had hit a big 3-point bomb, and the Wildcats were rampant. I think that took their lead to 13 points. Since then, that was when the timeout was called. Since then, the 36ers have steadied, and they have come back powerfully to the extent that a 3-pointer here would tie it up. 7 minutes to play in the decider in the elimination final. Mackay, Bradkey with the shot. Comfortable rebound to Phillips. It's a 1-point game, and the Superdome crowd is stunned. Substitution being made. It's almost a deathly hush here at the Superdome. The crowd was rampant 5 minutes ago, and they are bewildered at the moment. There's Gary Fox's record. Better than 2-1, better than 2-1 winning record. That didn't look like going.
That's not the shot they want Pinder to take. Pinder needs to get into the keyway, into the paint, and they need to work. They need offense now, and they need to lift up their defensive rate.
Ellis, Bruton, have the Wildcats panic? Will they choke? Or is it simply very, very good play from Adelaide? Well, Mike Ellis makes it a 4-point split with that 3-point bomb. 101 plays 97. What a time to do it.
Great shot from Mike Ellis. He's the captain of this squad, and he wants this. He needs it, and he can feel it.
Pinder gets the hand in on Phillips. Mackay, 2 points, silences the crowd once again. 101 plays 99 as Bruton tries, and he makes 2. 4 points the good of the Wildcats, 103.99. We're inside the last 6 minutes. What's going to win this game now is errors by the opposition.
It is. Got Darryl Pearce there with an error. He's hurting right badly. There's some awful contact underneath that basket. Pinder's up. Lost the ball. There's elbows on Phillips and Pinder.
Listen to the referees.
This is crucial.
Take the ball. The foul's on you, Ben.
Foul is on Davis.
3.
And that's the 4th foul to Mark Davis. Let's see this again.
You can see the contact. Davis reaching across and holding down, but by gee, there's some body contact there. Pinder's retaliated on Davis with the left elbow. This game could erupt at any stage.
And might we say, very well handled by Eddie Crouch.
Eddie Crouch, with all that experience, has sent Pinder well away from the contact. We've got a one-on-one coming up from Pinder, and this is critical.
Eddie Crouch still settling down the players. He can afford a wry grin. He wasn't being pummeled under the basket. So Tiny Pinder shooting 1-on-1, and there's an awful lot of pressure on this man right now.
Certainly is. This is a tough situation for Pinder. He needs to suck the air in and bend the knees.
Was he happy about that? Yes, sir, he was. Just watch the reaction of Tiny Pinder every time a basket goes down.
It's a long, long way to go in this ball game yet.
16 points so far for Tiny Pinder, 11 rebounds. Crowd hushed. It doesn't go, and Davis steals it off the rim.
Of course, that's legal once it hits the rim and rests there.
Defense.
Mackay. Davis. Bradkey's there. Mackay. Shot is short. Pinder takes his rebound tally to 12.
The Wildcats lead by 5. Just over 5 minutes to play. Plenty of time for either side to win it. Bruton. Davis sets the screen. Pearce eluded that. Pinder. Gee, there's some heavy work going on in there.
10 seconds.
Ellis. Crawford from outside. It's a 7-point game.
Great assist from Mike Ellis there to drive and dish the ball up on the right.
Great work, Crawford. Good position. Eluded his marker. Mackay. Ellis almost reached in from the back. Pinder gets it out.
2-on-1.
Ellis goes all the way. The ball won't go. Mackay did well to hold it. Extremely well, Mike Mackay. Darryl Pearce. The Wildcats should have made more of that. Bradkey won't go. Crawford comes away with it. The blocking foul. Mackay doesn't believe it. Crawford left the move very, very late. Almost fainted it.
Foul.
Mackay did it well.
To push.
We've got an intentional foul on this replay on Mackay and a timeout coming up for the 36ers.
So the intentional foul called. That'll stunt the 36ers growth for a little while. 106 plays 99. And welcome back as the wave goes around the Superdome. Let's have a look at this intentional foul called against Michael Mackay. One could say it was a fairly tough call. Crawford is the ball carrier.
This is Crouch's angle. as Mackay dropped the shoulder. I think it's a little tough on Mackay to call that intentional.
Well, the first thing Mackay did was look around at the referee, so perhaps he was expecting it. The Wildcats get 2 free throws, no one there to put him off, and possession of the ball from the side. So Crawford chokes a little on the first one.
Same thing, Crawford needs to compose himself here.
13 points tonight, 7 rebounds. Well, they still have side possession, the Wildcats. Crawford hangs his head as the courtside commentator says, doesn't matter. I wouldn't like to be quite that calm about it if I was a Wildcat fan.
No, it was very critical right there. Those 2 points were the icing.
The Wildcats lead by 7. We've got 4 minutes 18 to play. Crawford, he will be determined after that, I'm sure. They've turned it over. The rebound to Pierce. Long outlet pass goes to Davis. Pierce blocked. The pass blocked by Pinder. Spear has it. Inside 4 minutes. 106 plays 99. Phillips across the top to Pierce. He lost control of it. Wildcats ball.
Super defence there by Bruton. Bruton playing denial defence in front of Pierce. The lob pass unsuccessful.
Well, this will be the Wildcats' last season in this venue, the Perth Superdome. But like a bad tenant, they refuse to leave. They're extending this season, making it as long as they can. They've been anything but a bad tenant for the Superdome. They've given this fabulous facility an identity. They've made it one of the outstanding sports facilities in Australia. As Bruton puts the shot up, not a good shot. The game is still alive. 3 minutes 26 to play. 106 plays 99. Bradkey's under the basket. Too easy. He got right in behind the defence.
Great assist from Darryl Pierce. We saw that from a long way out. 106-101.
Wildcats need some offence now. They need to go through a structured offence and put the ball through several sets of hands, not just one.
Good defence from Darryl Pierce on Mike Ellis. Screen set by Pinder. Pierce gets around it.
Wildcats must be positive, not negative. It's too far to go in a delay game. They've got to play their regular offence.
3 seconds, 2. The shot goes up from Bruton. The shot clock was counting down. They've turned it over again.
No offence.
Phillips comes forward. The Wildcats panicking a little, one senses. By the same token, Adelaide has everything to play for. Nothing to lose and everything to gain from here. Now Ellis screams the instructions to his team. Pinder is just jogging up to his left. They need somebody to post up, and Pierce has stolen the ball. Gets the pass to that man Davis, and he misses. Well, that was so fortunate for the Perth Wildcats they could hardly believe it. Bruton comes forward now. Bounce pass, finds Ellis. Great vision.
Great pass from Bruton there, great vision.
Exceptional assist, Cal Bruton. Good running by Michael Ellis. 108-101, 7-point ball game inside the last 2 minutes. Spear gets the shot away and makes it. 108-103.
It's a 5-point game. Still time for the 36ers if they're good enough. But gee, they must be feeling the pinch as it goes into Davis. Steve Davis has drawn the foul. Let's see who it's called on.
Let's have a look and hear the call from Ray Hunt. Three.
Davis, and that's 5.
Great assist here from Ellis. Ellis underneath the Davis. Davis props. Davis comes on top, and Davis is out, and Davis to the foul line.
Steve Davis at the free throw line. He'll be shooting 2. The Wildcats lead by 5. A minute and a half to play. In fact, a minute 40 as Mark Davis departs the game with 34 points.
What an absolutely sensational effort from Mark Davis in a team that we really expected would lose this game at the beginning of it. At the beginning of it, that was the consensus here, and he really has kept them in the game.
It's been a brilliant performance from Davis. That's Mark Davis. As Steve Davis misses with the second of his shots, the Wildcats lead by 6. 2 3-pointers could really change this whole game. And they've got the players, the 36ers have got the players to shoot them, but the defensive pressure is intense.
Critical turnover there.
Timeout is called. No, it's not. Substitution is called. Watterson is in. Steve Davis goes out. The Wildcats lead by 6 points. We've got a minute and a half to play. Ellis takes on Pierce. Bradkey comes to assist. It was off Bradkey, and the Wildcats will get the ball from the side. Well, there's perspiration all over the court. The boys have been kept busy. This venue, of course, will be the venue for the World Swimming Championships in 1991. They could just about hold them here this afternoon.
Watterson. Adelaide has to scrap now. Absolutely no option for the 36ers. Pinder's making space baseline. Finds him. Back to Watterson. Bruton. 5 seconds on the shot clock. He must get the shot away. They can't afford to lose it. Crawford fouled. Makes the two. And will get a bonus shot. The Superdome goes wild. Well, you can see the Alley Cats in the background. Let's see it again.
Crawford through, but watch the leap on Bradkey. Hand contact. Crawford strong enough to get the ball in as well. A three-point play.
Let's see what he can do with this one from the free throw line. And that's exactly what he wanted. So the Wildcats lead by 9 in the last minute, 112 to 103. It's all up to Adelaide. Spear makes 3. Well, the game not over yet, 112 to 106. Look at the pressure from Adelaide. Absolutely sensational. Bruton, he's going to try to run it down. That could be a mistake. They must get the shot away to be sure of it. Watterson, shot clock says 13 seconds. They're making good position now. Crawford hassled. Cheap foul from Darryl Pierce. He'll be quite happy to concede that.
Tactical foul, professional foul.
The Wildcats cannot afford to take the ball from the free throw line. They won't get it there anyway.
Take it from the side here. Now this is a critical situation. The Wildcats will look up. They can pass either front or back court. They've got 10 seconds now to get it into the front court, and from then they should withhold possession.
Look at the hassling on Eric Watterson. He's lost the ball to Spear. Now Phillips. Pierce didn't go back out to the three-point line, but made 2 instead. 15 seconds and counting down. 112 to 108. Ellis is fouled from behind by Spear, and that should just about be the ball game.
11 seconds in a basketball game of this level is an eternity.
4 points to split.
Have to bring the ball in. You've got a three-pointer available and a foul on the three-pointer. That 4 points can be well gobbled up if the Wildcats lose possession. This is critical.
So the Wildcats must retain possession. Pinder does just that. Crawford almost lost it. Now it's with Phillips. 8 seconds left. Mackay must take the three-point shot. Puts it up. It doesn't go, and Ellis has the ball. Comes away. This will be the ball game. Intentional foul called. The game is not over. The crowd have come on, but the game is not over. The game is not over. That foul committed before the buzzer went. Now they have to clear the court. Crawford will be shooting 2, but if you have a look at the Wildcats bench, well, Michael Ellis will take it. He'll take the 2 shots. The Wildcats have won, but the game is not over. Mike Ellis with 17 points so far. Doesn't go. This time we can say doesn't matter. Mike Ellis would have liked it. Have a look at Ellis. Misses that as well. There is 0.7 of a second left. The Wildcats have the ball. Unfortunately for the 36ers, this is end of season 1989. There it goes. 1. It's all over. For our Adelaide viewers, that is the ball game, and that is your season, I'm sorry to say. We trust you have enjoyed the game. For viewers in country Western Australia through GWN and through TVW7 in Perth, we will continue with our coverage right after this commercial break. The Wildcats have won 112 to 108. So scenes of jubilation, they've died down a little. 112 to 108. The turnovers are what killed Adelaide, 26 to 14. So the Wildcats have won this best of 3 series, 112 to 108 in the final game. That concludes our coverage this afternoon. We trust you've enjoyed it. We'll be back on Saturday night, 6:30 Perth time, when the Wildcats play the best of their 3-game elimination series against the North Melbourne Giants. For John Gardner and Wally Foreman, this is David Christensen. Trust you've enjoyed the coverage. For now, good afternoon.
The general public ticket sales at all box outlets